Hey everyone, today is September 8th, 2023. Let's see what's going on in the garden. Keep in mind, this garden, I planted it back in May, started in the house in April, a good amount of these plants, and I have not weeded it, haven't really done anything in here. This all just grew perfect like this because we set it up really nicely the first day. It took about 8 hours to do that, and between then, every now and then we reapply slug pellets because this garden wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the slug pellets. I planted another garden that had 0 pesticides. Garden's not there at all. This thing needed certain things. It needed 7 chemical to keep the hornworms away from the tomato plants. If it wasn't for those chemicals, we tried the all-natural chemicals, that garden ceases to exist. So right here we got the electric fence, which does work. I have accidentally touched it once, and on purpose once with the back of my hand to make sure it was working. This thing works really good going around the edge. You just got to make sure that nothing too big is touching it. I didn't realize that as certain plants touch it, it'll kill the plant and it just burns things off the line, which is beneficial too. We also got a trail camera here that's been running literally all year. We took it apart and we got some time lapse out of it in my last update, and we'll do it again now because that corn that took off, that more than doubled its height in the past couple weeks. This week is pretty warm. Yesterday was 93, day before was 94, today's like 88. It's so hot out. Look at all the trees, it's just burning their leaves off. I think it's nothing's used to the heat, but the garden really took off. The vegetables are loving it. I didn't need to shut the electric fence off, but I showed people how to shut that thing off. Like my mom was picking in here the other day, getting some things out of it because I know I won't eat everything in here myself. As far as the tomatoes, there's so many of them. Look at this. We may have peppers. Look, oh yeah, we have tiny hot peppers. I thought my pepper plants were going to be a total loss. This heat this week made them really start taking off. Here in this back corner is my only yellow tomato plant. Those are done. They don't turn orange. This was growing scraggly. It had some kind of fungus. We had to use fungicide on it. It perked up a little bit. These I think were random. I think those would be Marrow Globe. We have 3 rows of cherry tomatoes. I got to get in here and start picking them. You see, some of them are a little overripe. You could still eat it, but they're starting to split. There's so many in here. These plants were so healthy. We've already got hundreds of cherry tomatoes out of here. If you look in here, there's just, as far as the eye can see, little tiny ones all over the place. The other day, what was cool to see how this is the size of a pea, we had some that were ripening the size of a pea. Down here, these are, oh, did they all die out? Yep, they all died out. Just like I had a whole patch of other potatoes in the other part of the yard. It might be the shade, it might be it being too wet this year. Some reason all my potatoes died out. But I also learned something this year. Over here, are these too overgrown? At least from my research, you're supposed to eat this. This is the broccoli. You're supposed to eat it when it's like this. You cut it off the plant like that, and that's what you're eating at the store. If you don't cut it off, it turns into this big flower, which you can't eat. But I did realize the hummingbirds love coming after these flowers. Right here, these are all carrots. We got some pretty good ones this year. Oh, you can even see the top of that one. Let's pull it. Some of them are big, some of them aren't. A lot of these we're just going to leave until the plant starts showing signs of dying or we see a frost in the forecast because we want them to get bigger. Yeah, pretty good. Look at that. They're not crooked or anything. Now, those ones are tiny, but we can still eat them. Let's look around. Let's see if we can. This one has a big base. Yeah, pretty big. Pull the tiny one out too. The good thing about these is a tiny one like that, I technically could replant that and it would keep growing. So you got some broccoli here. I might cut those off and eat them. The lettuce in here has been doing good. I've let people pick it off who've come over because I'm not eating all this. And here we have this little tiny pond in here where spiders like to hang out over it. Right here, the corn just started growing the cobs like in the past couple weeks. See that? It needs a lot more rain and heat. Hopefully these are able to develop fully. That corn's very tall. That's at least 9 feet, that one there. The corn just started flowering not even a week ago. Look at this, that's kind of rotten right there. Oh, look, the zucchinis are rotting before they even get big. I did get a giant one out of it. Someone obviously stepped on these. Sunflowers, see how they're starting to die? We can pick these and let them dry out completely, and they're full of seeds, so that's good. The cucumber plant did very good earlier in the year, but now I think it's becoming too shaded and it's starting to die out. Yeah, I don't see any cucumbers here. That may have been a little overcrowded. So we didn't have any problems with bigger animals or anything. It was just basically bugs. So the fencing may not even be completely necessary. Right there, look. Oh wow, their vine died. But these still look pretty good. We can take these, look at it, there's a slug. That means we gotta reapply the slug pellets. Can eat them. Any more cucumbers? That's kind of gross. Very rotten one. Oh, there's more. Those ones are rotting. So this plant just died. Oh, look at this big one here. I think that's still good. You know, I found one in here a few weeks back that was fatter than a soda can. If we look in here, we got some of the really big tomatoes back here. Hopefully none of them have holes. We did spray for the hornworms. Yeah, look how many big tomatoes we're gonna end up having. These are called marrow globe, the kind you would usually slice in a sandwich. There's gonna be hundreds of them. Now let's see, do we have any big beef, which are these? These are gonna be absolutely massive. There's some tiny ones growing in there. Maybe we got it wrong. Wow, look at the size of this one. Can you see that? Wouldn't even fit in my hand. That one's huge. And then we're over here back into the cherry patch. Wow, I see a big patch of very ripe ones, if we can even get to it. I'd have to plow through here. Maybe we'd be better off just getting a ladder and reaching over the fence. So, I used to plant tomatoes all the time, and I'm realizing now, this year, I forgot how big they got. I haven't grown them since I was a little kid, and I never actually grew this many plants at once. Oh, what am I seeing there? Is that, oh wow. Well, we gotta dig in this area. We actually do got potatoes down there that formed before the plant died. Yeah, we also gotta dig up at some point where all the other plants were. But I remember I had a potato patch like 6 years back. They were huge like this. The leaves, the plants were massive. It grew so many potatoes. Not this year. Next year I'll downsize. We'll basically do the same garden layout, but less plants. The corn did perfect for its space, but some things we just planted way too many seeds too close to each other. As far as the tomato cages, this was nice aisles to walk between. There was 28 of them. They grew way bigger than expected. So next year, maybe we'll do half of them so the aisles will have more space. The couple things that grew outside the garden. Look at this. We got a squash growing in there. Is that gonna fill out? Hopefully. Here's another cucumber plant. These ones are very, very prickly. I'm wondering if that's because they keep getting attacked by slugs. Here is asparagus. They're in a separate pots so that they can come into the house. Look at it. We're actually getting the little asparagus spear. Those will not survive the winter the first year, basically anywhere you live outside in the winter. Up here, definitely not with our cold winter, but some people say maybe it would survive year 3 up here once it gets a good root system going. From the outside, I can see right here, there's another cucumber. This plant looks like it's basically done for the year, but we did get a lot off of it earlier on. And from the outside here, you can see lots and lots of tomatoes in there. Very dense tomato forest. And check out the electric fence here. Anything that touches it gets burned. See this corn leave. This year I really lost hope for all my pepper plants, but in the past couple weeks since it started becoming warmer out, because this summer was the coldest I've ever felt in a while, suddenly started getting warm. Bell peppers are all starting to bud suddenly. Hope they have enough time. All the hot peppers back here are starting to bud. Marigolds are taking off in here. Bell peppers are all starting to bud. Over by the big pond, Japanese beetles destroyed this. Is a store-bought blackberry plant. Over here's the rhubarb. This hot weather is really destroying it. Since if you saw my video just a couple days ago, it was looking a lot better. Hot weather destroying it, so maybe we should cut and eat some of that rhubarb. That'll be good with some sugar. We also got rhubarb in another section of the garden. I don't know if this tomato plant will have enough time to produce anything. I just planted it here and it eventually took off. Same thing with this tomato plant. Look at this, it's crushing the whole cage. It's just overgrown so much. But I know it's got a couple, yeah, right there. Maybe we'll get something out of it. Just leave it alone and I hope it doesn't break. But we got so many tomatoes, it doesn't really matter. This right here was a couple rows of potatoes. We got to get the hoe and see if anything's down here. See this? Maybe we could just pull some and see. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get the hoe out and get all this ground out of here. People said that they really liked, well, we do, they're small, but we do got potatoes here. Yeah, and this is not from the store. From the store, it came with these wrinkled, like last year ones that you would plant. The roots still look pretty good. Look at this, that's a tiny potato right there on the side of the root. Nope. Yeah, we'll have to get the hoe out and get everything. We'll put that back there so it doesn't bake in the sun. I'll grab that once we get everything out of here. This whole thing was a planted garden. The slugs destroyed everything. It was an experimental garden without insecticides. I guess now something's starting to grow now that the slugs have kind of backed off, but it's a little too late in the year. Looks like we'll have some pretty flowers here in a week, whatever you would call these. Right here is the giant raspberry patch. It did pretty good this year. The way raspberries grow, the plant only lives for about 1 year. When it starts growing in the spring, okay, a new plant from the spring will have a harvest in the fall. It survives the winter, has a spring harvest, and then dies. It will not have another harvest in the fall. But now that we have multi-generations of plants, we have both spring and fall harvests. If you look around at the leaves with holes, you'll probably find Japanese beetles. Japanese beetles are what's responsible for all the grubs in your grass. And that's what brings in the mole that likes to eat them a lot. Doing good. So back there, those are the raspberries. These are all the black raspberry plants. Do any of these still have berries? Because I couldn't find any raspberries. Animals have already ate them or they just completely stopped producing for the year. Yeah, I think everything's just about done and getting ready for winter. When you live out in the woods, raspberries seem to take over any clearing until the trees get too big and shade them out. All of this back here is raspberries because a couple years ago for the power lines, we cleared every dead tree within like 30 feet of them. And as the forest grows back, the first thing that grow in is the raspberries. All over the place. The tomato plants near my back door, they're just so healthy. I can't believe how many it's producing. You can just pick more and more off it every single day. But the plant is so heavy, the cage is about to fall over. So if we got wind today, this might be the end of this plant. And we got another one right here. It's just got so many tomatoes on it. Well worth the $3 investment. This was a store-bought one. Over here, the cattails are doing good in the little frog pond. We do got one frog in there. Where is he? Yeah, they're right there in the middle of the screen. Got one frog in there. The only berry plant that seems to be still producing is the blackberry at this time of year. And it's still got a lot that haven't even ripened up yet. And I hope today's video was interesting. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a great day.